Two of my classes got canceled today, so
Oh, okay.
I only had one class today. I did the class, I ate lunch. What am I supposed to do now? I
Perfect
already.
time for an interview. Yeah. Well, what we like to do here is we like to explore people's reasoning for usually a belief that they've been thinking about a lot, they think is true, and usually something that means a lot to them. Uh, is there something you can think of right now?
I watch Many Minute Man a lot, which is all about archaeology and debunking pseudo archaeology.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
It is.
Yeah. Is there a claim that you have about, is there a belief that you have about archaeology that, I don't know, you'd like to bring up and you think it's true, but maybe other people disagree with you on? Yeah.
Archaeology is a science. I am a very scientific man.
Yeah.
Like the conspiracy theories out there are like mainstream archaeology is lying to you, and it's like, of course, most people aren't going to fall for that, but those few that do, they're loud.
Yeah. So archaeology as an institution is not lying to you.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
It's a science. Like any science, you need credible citations and sources for whatever you're saying,
Okay. I'll wait for
and it
this.
changes.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Is there a particular belief you have? I mean, it sounds like within that, you've heard a lot of things, maybe about Atlantis, maybe about
Oh yeah.
uh, all these different ancient buildings and stuff. Um, is there something that stands out to you as like, I believe this about it, and I don't believe that other thing about it? Like, based on the archaeological evidence you've seen.
Atlantis is a tale, is a mythical tale that goes back to the
Yeah,
Greeks even.
yeah,
It's had many different iterations because the base point is it's a highly advanced city
Mhm.
that got sunk at some point.
yeah.
So there are many different versions of it. The ancient Greeks version is different than the modern version because we grew in technology, so those the city for the myth to make sense.
Yeah.
So over
Okay.
time, you kind of just see that.
Yeah. So you think that Atlantis is not real?
No, no, not the way it's portrayed. I mean, mythology can sometimes be based on fact that's long been embellished or forgotten.
Yeah.
But like we can never know for sure. We can never know for sure.
Okay. So how confident are you that Atlantis, as we think of it today, was mythical?
Very. Atlantis was never real, although it's awesome to think about it. It's not like something you should say, "Oh, this was real once. We need to find it." No, it was never real.
Yeah.
It's just something cool to think about every once in a while.
Yeah. And when you say Atlantis here, uh, are we just talking about like the idealized, super technologically advanced version of it, or
Yeah, basically.
yeah, okay. Um, so are you agnostic on the stance of whether there was really a place, even if it was just a generic village or something called Atlantis? Are you agnostic on that?
About yeah, it could have been like from the ancient Greek perspective,
Yeah,
highly advanced has meant something different than to us today. It could have been a city that existed once, maybe under a different name, but it was a myth. Maybe a real city that had slightly advanced technology
okay.
compared to everyone else that just kind of fell into legend and myth.
What's the biggest reason that you think it's a myth?
The story changes.
Hmm.
It constantly changes
Okay.
to meet the new standards of technological advancement.
Yeah, I guess
So
how would you define a myth?
myth is kind of hard to describe, but to put it simply, it's like a sort of a legendary tale, legendary story
Yeah.
that kind of just got passed down through the ages.
Okay. And never based in reality, or just partially based in it, or
It could be partially based in reality. Mythology,
Okay.
some mythology exists to explain phenomena that can now be explained by science.
yeah.
So there's always myths. Some myths just try to explain why certain things happen, and that's why
Yeah.
that's why you got the ancient Greek gods
Mhm.
and whatnot.
So the biggest reason you don't believe the biggest reason you believe it's a myth is because the story changes with every culture it's like exposed to, and you know that just seems like something that a myth would be.
Right.
Mhm. Do you feel like there's anything that's not a myth that that has had a similar evolution over time?
Among conspiracy theorists, it's the building of the pyramids.
Right. But you're not a conspiracy theorist.
No.
So what do you think? Do you think there's anything that's true that like sort of became mythologized over time?
On Australia, there was a tale of a volcano that got turned into a story
Yeah.
over, and it's been an oral tale for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Then when science came to verify it, there actually was a volcano that erupted around the same time the story started.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's neat. What is something that could change your mind that Atlantis was not a myth? What would you need to see?
Archaeological evidence would be required to prove that it actually existed at one point.
Okay. What evidence would you want to see that could convince you?
Maybe city ruins would be one thing. That's undeniable evidence.
Yeah. And where would we look for that? Is there a place that, if they found ruins there and it said Atlantis, like that would...
The thing is, we don't know. We don't know where it would be.
Yeah. So if we found ruins, how much confidence could that give you that it's real if we don't know where it... Like, if we found the ruins,
Right.
but we found it somewhere and we don't know where it was supposed to be, how do we know that was Atlantis?
It's hard. Like that. Yeah, that kind of thing is hard.
Yeah.
It's probable that it would never be fully solved because it's just how it goes sometimes.
So do you think you should be very confident that Atlantis isn't real, or is just a myth?
I'm pretty confident. You have to be flexible with science, though.
Yeah. I guess now that I think about it, like, if it had Atlantis written on it, and it was dated to a certain time period, would that be enough to convince you?
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a start.
Yeah. What would be a finish?
You would want some sort of more. You would want more records. You'd want other cultural artifacts, like vases were pretty common. Are pretty common. Maybe
Okay.
maybe grave sites, that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm getting you now. All right, I think I understand now. Thank you so much for talking with me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like the questions?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Glad we could give you something to do between classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to give me like a general sense of how you're feeling with
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm feeling more intuitive with my questioning.
You're coming more naturally, maybe?
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean to say.
Okay.
I mean, back in DC, I was so by the book, and I'm not as by the book anymore, and that's okay as long as it gets at what we're doing, which is, are we getting this person to think, and are we staying? I don't even necessarily say staying neutral, although I do most of the time, but it's just that I'm trying to get them to, you know, consider one way or the other, think about what the other side that disagrees with them thinks. And so I feel like as long as I'm asking questions that meet those needs, those are my needs, not necessarily theirs, then I'm asking good questions. Yeah,
Cool.
that's the way I see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I try to encourage people to develop their own style, whatever lines up with their goals
Oh, okay.
and their personality and the way that they approach this type of conversation.
Oh, okay. I I didn't quite know that was a part of it for you. I like that because I guess sometimes I feel I sometimes I feel like I'm learning an orthodoxy rather than like creating my own school of SE.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
I'm perfectly happy to do that.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
As long as it's civil
Yeah.
and you're helping them critically reflect on the quality of their reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those two. That's fine.
Otherwise, how are we going to find better ways to do it?
Yeah. And I like that that's your criteria instead of saying neutral as a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, neutral doesn't have to be a part of it. Like Luca knew I wasn't really in his boat,
Okay.
but he knew that I was presenting him with things to think about. And I'm perfectly fine with calling that SE. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.